Hello and welcome to Somerset Highlander. The turf on both sides is due for the cut. To be honest, I've been leaving it a little bit because of the damp weather, but now it's starting to dry. It looks a little bit scraggly, so I just want to make sure the seed heads develop so that they have a chance to repopulate the turf. I did clear out some of the turf from across near the pond because some of it had actually dispersed its seed heads, but the rest of this will probably go in the next couple of weeks. And then if I swing round, our hollyhocks sadly are on the way over, and the Banksia is starting to fill out the wall now. It's a slow grower, but as it grows it does do the job, I have to say, and we're getting some cover. So if I look to this 2.5 years ago, the Sarcococca on the left, and I forget what the other plant on the right is called, the shrubbery. 2.5 years ago they were tiny, but as you can see they're clearly liking where they are because they're absolutely dominating. But it is really nice just to see how established they're becoming. Obviously a lot of ground cover, good for insects, birds, etc. And this plant here is doing really well too, as is the Pyracantha. So the Pyracantha is very happy. This is a part I don't normally show. Underneath here as well, I have a little log pile for insects, so they can get their little hidey holes that they need as well. The courtyard is looking a lot better now that we've planted the 2 Hebes to replace the box, which was attacked by the box blight. But they're established nicely now. You can see some of our other plants have gone over, and this honeysuckle is actually doing quite well. I need to tie a little bit of it in. This one is actually starting to like its environment and it's starting to establish itself. And then we have over here the Japanese anemone. It's in full flower at the minute. This is a new plant. The periwinkle, though, we do have a little bit left down here. It seems to struggle in this area, so we thought, okay, we'll change it, and we've put in the Japanese anemone, and it seems to be very happy. Our Mexican fleabane, obviously it seems very happy anywhere around here, which is lovely. And then we have some nice white flowers on our pots on the wall. So now we started looking across towards the cottage garden, and it looks pretty good from here. We've got the roses, we've got the verbena, but to be honest, that's the majority of what we have. And the main reason for that is because, as we said previously, we had scaffolding on here while we're putting up some solar panels in the winter, but also we lost a few plants, I think, just naturally. The Acrolegia did very well, I did harvest them, and these salvias, I have actually planted this to fill in a gap this year, so they are very nice though. So last year at this time of year the cottage garden was dominated by Michaelmas daisies. This is one of only 2 plants that survived, and again 12th of August and they're still not flowering. It just shows you how late everything is. The Russian sage behind has started to come into flower now, but it's a little bit happier. The echinacea is going over. Penstones at the back, they don't get much sunlight, I think that's why they're not brilliant. And behind here we have some more Michaelmas daisies, but nothing like the numbers we've had. If I swing round, we've got some nice roses here, which is a second sort of flowering of them. But clearly verbena is just self-seeding everywhere. It loves this garden, and you can see we've got a lot at the front here. We'll leave it because it fills the gap. The creeping thyme behind is doing well, and then we planted some more snapdragons or antirrhinums, depending on how you want to call them, because we found that across here the antirrhinums are working really well, so we thought we'd try them. and see if they will fill the space nicely. But as you can see, sitting on the bench here, as I scroll around, this looks quite different from last year, and it's just the weather. I think it's just more intense variations and the plants struggle to survive. It's bad enough down here where we get sun. I shudder to think what it's like in Newcastle. So this is the courtyard area as you come in. So there are some winners and losers. I do like the fact we've got our red berries from our rowan tree. It's definitely happy. And our cherry tree will need some lopping quite soon. We have planted a new tree now, but it is not very happy. And again, we can't work out if it's to do with a lack of water and weather, and we have been trying to water it, or if it's something else that's going on here. If anyone knows, please put it in the comments. And then we've got some catmint, and the geraniums actually have been superb. They're great ground cover on both sides, and we'll probably add a bit more on the geranium front because they seem to like it here and tolerate it. And finally, our Mexican fleabane is thriving. We always let it grow on the driveway. It's a dead space to us otherwise, so I'm just going to pass my car here. But you can see how much we have here. And then towards the top end, we've got some more ivy. Ivy is really important for butterflies and the like when they obviously flower later in the season. It's an important source of food for them. But yeah, it's doing well. And then if I zoom around here, this has gone mad. It was probably about a fifth of the size of this, and it's just gone mad. So again, we'll cut this back towards the end of the season, but we want to leave this for pollinators to have some food at the moment. So I think a couple of big lessons for me to do with the garden, even though you're making it wildlife friendly, is that although we had a clear idea at the start what we wanted in there, clearly certain plants have decided they don't like it here, whereas other plants love it and thrive. So you've got to be a little bit more relaxed about some of the self-seeding that goes on, even if it's not really where you want it. But I guess you learn what will work and what won't work in different parts of your garden, and it's okay to fail and restart, because where there's space, plants will, to a lesser or greater extent, take that space. It's just whether you want that to be there. So though it's wildlife friendly, it's not entirely wild. It does take work and effort to clear the debris, make space for the next load of flowers to come along. But it is a nicer way of doing it, trying to think, okay, let's be a little bit more natural as well. I think the other thing is, yeah, don't be too strict on yourself in terms of you think this has to work this way. Clearly, this garden has evolved over the last 3 years. We've thought of things that would work that actually in hindsight didn't work in terms of the look or in terms of how well it would grow there. But I also think that we're in a changing environment now, and things are changing at such a pace that certain plants tolerate these changes better than others. And I guess the other thing that we're noticing as well is the lack of butterflies this year. I've seen a few in the last week, 2 weeks, but very few before then. So I hope you enjoyed my little tour of the garden, little update. I'm hoping that we'll have an Indian summer, i.e. a nice sunny September, October, just to stretch the year out because we missed the summer. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll keep you up to date as we go along.